Workout with Billy Smith and Jimmy Quinn. We're working on the triceps now. Now that Boyer killed you guys on chest, or so he says, we're going to move on to the back of the arm, which is a secondary muscle that we use when we're training our chest, okay? We're working the long head of the tricep right here. Jimmy, why don't you give us a description of what's happening?
Well, Sean, really there's only two things you can do for tricep. One, push down, and then something overhead. And overhead really hits when you lock out, if you watch it, the long, you know, the bottom head of the tricep group.
The meaty head,
as opposed to the long head, yeah.
All right, step in there. How'd that feel, Bill?
Very good. You get a great stretch, and again, when you do this exercise, try to keep the elbows pointed in front of you instead of out to the sides. That way you can get a much better stretch all the way through this one head of the tricep.
Right. Well, like Jimmy said here earlier, he's dealing and trying to work around a lot of injuries. So for him, he has to position his elbows in areas that are comfortable for him. But nevertheless, he's working the long head of the tricep, the inner portion there. And as you'll notice, as he brings it up, he's separating his hands to even get more contraction there at the top. This is an exercise you don't need a whole lot of weight. You need to feel it, put the mind into the muscle, really.
Exactly.
To help bring in the striations and detail.
Okay, Sean.
Hop in there.
All right. I feel like I'm in between Kareem and Olajuwon over here. Basketball game.
For you.
All right.
There you go.
Good. Notice how Sean keeps his triceps fully contracted, again, through the entire range of motion. This is extremely important for maximum stimulation of the muscle. And again, that is what stimulates growth in muscle tissue, is the stimulation and the workload that you can apply to the muscle tissue.
You see by him also spreading his arms at the top, it really hits the head of the tricep.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
Let's move on to the second one. We're going to move on and do some seated alternate tricep extensions. Jimmy, why don't you take us into this one?
Okay.
Okay. And again, we're starting off with a relatively lightweight for our first set, or light for these guys anyways, 25 pounds. What you want to do here, Bill, is the key is trying to keep your elbow stationary.
Right, exactly. And again, as you see Jimmy's elbow, again, now this time it's pointed straight out, which is the correct position.
Right.
And again, the full contraction is of utmost importance. It's a contraction on the way down and squeezes back to the starting position.
That's right. It's a movement that's very similar to what we just did here, except we're concentrating one arm at a time, and we're using dead weights as opposed to cables.
Exactly.
It's a little harder, plus you got to concentrate just a little bit more.
That's a good point Sean made. To do dumbbells,
no, it's not all right. You got another arm. You got two arms there. Go ahead, Bill.
Symmetry.
What are you saying?
Dumbbell work is always a good idea, and especially to alternate it because of balance. You want to make sure that you don't always do bar work or machine work because the body tends to get off balance if you favor one side more sometimes than the other. So dumbbell work is always a must.
Well, what me and Boyer have always tried to stress to the people is variety. Don't get caught in the rut of just sticking to barbells and dumbbells or the cables. You got to mix them all in together.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, now you're finished. All right, Bill.
Okay, I'll give this a whirl.
Let's go, Billy.
All right.
I didn't know you had to do both arms.
Yeah, you got to do both arms. There's a thing called symmetry.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
and actually, you got to work both arms with the same amount of intensity. See, some people, because they're right-handed, they try to go a little heavier and they're stronger on their right sides, and as a result, their left side suffers. I like to start off with my weak side first.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a right-handed first bodybuilder, so I like to use my left hand first to make sure that I'm strong and fresh when I get ready to train.
Probably with, you know, doing dumbbells as opposed to barbells, and you would think that if there's an imbalance, that a lot of people, you know, because of the, you know, the offhand would be weaker on that side, that the dumbbells would probably be even more beneficial because it would even out in the long run. It would allow you to strengthen it up and not let you favor with the barbell, but with the stronger one.
That's why you got to use both. Good mix, okay? Plus cable. Here we go.
Let's go, Sean.
Good. And again, this exercise is really, really good for the stretch. As you can see in the down position, the tricep is fully stretched and fully contracted when you come back to the starting position. So, again, for range of motion, this is a really, really good exercise.
How heavy can we build up on this as far as the poundage, Phil?
Normally, we don't, or at least I don't go over probably 35 pounds with this exercise. Again, because it's more of an isolation movement, and it's for working a very specific part of the arm. So you don't need a whole lot of weight, especially if you keep the contractions, you know, throughout the entire range of motion. You can't really use a whole lot of weight.
Right. Okay, let's move on to our final exercise here. On the triceps, we'll do the one-arm tricep extension with the cable. Go ahead, Jimmy. And once again, the advantage to using the cable is that you're going to have continuous tension on the muscle being worked. So you can actually do a negative as well as a positive on here and still have the same effect on the tricep. Okay, and there is a tricep pose that is mandatory in professional bodybuilding as well as amateur bodybuilding that we have to hit the pose just for this muscle alone. There's about 7 or 8 mandatory poses that we got to hit.
Sure.
So this is one that you don't want to skimp on. The back of the arm, we have the front double biceps and we have the side triceps.
Exactly.
This is one that's very important.
As you can see, pardon me, Sean, the outer head of the tricep is involved to an extreme here in this exercise, and it's super important to do this exercise because, just like Sean said, in like a back double bicep pose, this muscle is definitely going to be a prominent muscle in that shot.
That's right. Let me switch over here, Jimmy.
You got it.
Okay. Got to change up the apparatus here so we can keep it flowing.
I've always liked that exercise because of the fact that you can switch around a little bit with your range of motion, and it's a good lockout.
Yeah, it is.
Good finisher. Very good finisher.
And as Jimmy's finishing up here, we're going to come back with a lot more important tips here on the Flex Magazine workout as you hit this right tricep. We want to get the stretch and the squeeze, bring in those striations, baby. Burn it in. Nice horseshoe effect right there happening. Elbow nice and stationary. Good job. Kick it back.